Hello, welcome to ProBots, the first season in 2025, and we are on our second week. We had groups A and B on, well, Thursday, but I don't know when you're playing this. Thursday. So, yeah, we are here for Group C and D. Joining me today casting is Ketroc. How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to some good matches tonight. I see negativeZero's on the list, so
Yeah.
that'll be one to look out for this season.
Yeah, definitely. negativeZero back, and we've got a few bots that we haven't seen in the past. Actually, our first matchup is going to be two new ones that I'm not familiar with. We've got a lot of random this time. I think we've got at least 3 random in the bracket. So that's always fun and usually cheesy, but I'm not sure what Changeling does, except try and infiltrate the Federation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole new guard of bot authors now. I think I'm finally at the point where more than half of the bots I don't even know anything about. So, yeah, things are changing a bit.
Indeed. Always exciting to find things out. So we are going to, I think, jump into the format to explain this for those unfamiliar. It is the GSL format that we're doing. So basically, we start with group stages. Here are rectangles over our faces. The rectangle that is in front of me refers to the group stage, which is the dual tournament style. Basically, you have a double elimination bracket in a group of 4. The top 2 advance out of that to our right rectangle, which is a single elimination playoff bracket for 8 bots. There, the quarterfinals are best of 3, the semis are best of 5, and the finals are best of 7.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's
it's a good format. It's
yeah, it's a
classic
good format.
Classic format. If Korea likes it, we like it too. So why not? It gives a good chance of at least every bot gets 2 matches, whether they get bopped or not. So you get to see a little bit of variety there. So we are, as I said, in our first matches from the group C and D. So yeah, first match of the night is going to be Changeling versus Aeolus, I assume. Oh, okay, here's a bracket. We got, that's not right. But Changeling versus Aeolus in the top. Then I assume this is BenBot versus PhantomBot. Then negativeZero, as you mentioned, in Group D versus theBigBot, which is another new one. And then Ketroc, whoever makes that, versus apparently ChatGPT.
What I'm always training off of.
Yeah. Exactly. Are you familiar with that bot, GPT?
No, not so much.
Okay.
But Changeling, I believe, is Aeolus. It's Aeolus'.
Oh, is it? Okay.
It's the random bot for Aeolus. So it's like Aeolus, Phobos, and Deimos, which are
that makes
all pretty
sense,
scary bots.
I was like,
actually,
where is this? Yeah, I'm like, where is this author this time? Okay. Yeah. So Changeling, the amalgamation of apparently 3 dwarf planets. Or moons, I guess a variety. 1 dwarf planet and 2 moons, I think is what that is.
Celestial bodies.
Yes, exactly. Things orbiting around. So against Aeolus. So yeah, we'll get that bracket updated. BenBot's another one that we're familiar with. That's always kind of been evolving. That'll be interesting to see. And negativeZero, yeah, we haven't seen for I think a few seasons. But was a dominant one, has won one of these tournaments before. So cool there. And the BigBot, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe negativeZero's taken the crown off Aeolus for being number 1 on the ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Although we all know ladder is not always the best indicator of who's going to win in tournaments, because often things are saved for tournaments that are special features, we'll say.
Indeed. Yeah, you play your kind of more generic all-purpose stuff, I guess, on the ladder, but then you can snipe often in these tournaments if you know who your opponent's going to be. All right. Do we have the stats for these guys this week? Okay. Then maybe those will come up over us slowly. There's like a fade in. We're using some Microsoft PowerPoint transitions. If we can get a star wipe in the next little bit, then that would be great. So here, okay, the graphic for Changeling does kind of explain this pretty well. Deimos, Eris, and Phobos together making basically the Changeling. So a random bot coded in Python. And okay, yeah. So changeling will either spawn as Eris, Deimos, or Phobos. Certainly good.
You can tell that probably by the photo that Phobos is the
Yes.
least powerful of the three.
That is the implication. Yes.
Still a strong Terran, but Eris and Deimos are like tippy top of the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah. Very true. It would be funny if the weakness just says Phobos. That would be it. Depends what race changeling spawns as. Makes
You can interpret
sense.
that as you will. Yeah.
I remember way back in like early days of StarCraft 2 pro scene, some players like TLO played random, but then eventually they would be like, I'll be Zerg and Terran, but not random. I'm leaving Protoss out or something. Yeah, built on the Ares framework, Changeling uses many features such as combat and macro behaviors, placement solver, build runner, and is not based on hard-coded logic. And nobody is based on hard-coded logic. They all hate that.
So basically, what Rasper's saying is that it's a scripted bot and it just follows a script, and there's no thought process involved.
That's what I think that's what he means. Aeolus here, which is apparently, I don't know quite how to interpret this drawing. It is either a cat with a back leg and maybe a little nub for a tail, or a cat with normal legs and two nipples. But it's hard to say what's going on there exactly.
Yeah, that's like a six-legged cat, if I'm seeing this correctly.
It is a weird look. Like, I'm not sure. If there was just one more, it makes sense. But then what's the fifth one?
Maybe it's AI generated.
yeah,
You know how
yeah,
they
there's
like to
that
add
one
fingers
up.
to people's hands
Yeah,
and stuff. Yeah.
it's very strange. So it's like a tank of a cat. Yeah. That's a
All-terrain
good
cat.
zero. Yeah, like a zero turn radius cat. Aeolus is a bot focused on establishing a strong economy and primarily building stalkers to overwhelm its opponent. Good strategy, often, especially if Blink is controlled well. Lacks detection. That sounds bad, and is highly vulnerable to cloaked units like Dark Templars, Banshees, or Burrow Brooches. That's probably the killer. Struggles against massed units that trade efficiently into stalkers, so a lot of units, such as tanks or zerglings, and often loses its army and getting overwhelmed. These seem like fundamental problems. Like,
Sometimes it doesn't matter. As long as you do one thing well,
yeah,
the other stuff won't matter as much.
yeah. It also contains no hard-coded logic. All building placements are computed at runtime. Yet it consistently walls off with its main and natural chokes perfectly with precise calculations. In-game decisions are powered by a newly implemented combat sim manager, the same one used by the renowned Micro Machine. Nice shout out there. I'm proud to say that Aeolus is the fastest bot in the tournament, averaging a step time of approximately 1 millisecond. The speed is largely thanks to using k-dimensional trees to find nearby units in the grid, avoiding slower loop checks. That's okay, cool. I use k-dimensional trees sometimes in a different way, but with much more static data. But yes, makes sense. I'm curious how that works, but that is interesting.
I think that combat simulator from Micro Machine actually predates SC2 bots.
Yeah.
I think it was something that was pulled from like the Brood War bot scene.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is good. I guess it would have the same fundamentals. Yeah. I don't know if we have the preview of maps coming up. Maps definitely do make. We saw in kind of our first week here that they make quite a bit of a difference. One of the maps in the pool has that mineral patch double block through the middle, which really screwed up a lot of them. I think was it Thunderbird? Yeah, it's Thunderbird that has that. So that's going to be our first map. And it seemed to mess with some of the bot AI because they didn't accept it as an actual terrain blocker. So it looked like they kept trying to go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then eventually someone mined it out by long distance mining by accident. But that sort of thing can be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting to put these bots on like an island map just to see how bad they would do.
Yeah. That's something I missed that sort of thing. In early map days, there were like not that you started on an island, but there were like island bases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there we go. So I think we are ready to hop into game number 1. Let's check out Changeling, the somewhat familiar bot, and Aeolus, the new bot that has no detection.
Let's do it.
Changeling. Aeolus.
Okay, so Changeling has been spotted as Aeolus this time.
Yeah. Classic style. Does Aeolus tend to get burrow? It's usually, I think so.
It's hard not to get burrow roaches.
yeah,
So they're
yeah.
very, very strong
They're
in the
so-
bot
yeah,
meta,
it's
so
almost
that could be
always-
an issue for Aeolus.
Yeah. So I figured. Yeah, it's almost never not cost efficient to get it. And yeah, Aeolus does tend to max out with roaches for sure. We'll tend to do a phase where it's a max out with roaches and then kind of throw that army away, or like do as much damage as you can with it while then transitioning. So it looks like we're gonna have a Forge expand.
Yeah, haven't seen that for
I guess
quite a
this is detection whether he likes it or not.
yeah. it's
So
true.
so I guess then maybe that's helpful.
Pretty nice way to start the game too, especially if you're in lower divisions where
Yeah.
you're probably getting cheesed a lot. This is a nice, safe way to get an expo up and still have
Yeah.
defense no matter what. We'll say.
Yeah, exactly. Get to the place you want to be. Get to the stalkers. Maybe get to. I'm hoping that he has blink tech with this, because bot controlled blink tech can be pretty fun.
This is pretty interesting too. If this is a calculated wall off at the natural,
Yeah.
because that's something I think no bot does well.
Yeah.
Like it either looks terrible because they're calculating it, or it's a
Yeah.
hard go to positions because it's
Yeah,
really
well-
hard to kind of even define where a choke point is just based off of.
It has all the good elements. The pylon's set back a little bit. It's got the right space for the zealot to stand in. Yeah. And that's a bonus. Killing the old overlord. And actually supply blocking, changing with that for a while. For basically the whole construction time of an overlord.
Very cool. Second gas up now for Aeolus. And I guess since he's using the combat sim of Micro Machine, he must be written in C++, which I don't think we've ever had another C++ bot in ProBots before,
Yeah.
besides Micro Machine. So that's also interesting.
He is indeed. I guess, yeah, his hero. Zealot chasing down.
Slow zealots in the bot scene.
Yeah.
I always say they don't even need side blades because they'll never get in range to attack anything.
The latest episode of Rick and Morty, Rick has side blades. They don't specifically call them out, but that's clearly what they are.
I haven't actually. I didn't even know they had a new season, so I'll have to check that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I think it was episode 4 that came out this week, but yeah, it's out. Roach Warren coming down here now as anticipated, and Burrow indeed is following, and we've got the Twilight almost
Blink.
done. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, we'll be good to have that. Blink Stalker versus Burrowed Roach. A lot of evading damage on both sides.
Yeah, I mean the problem's going to be, can you actually kill a roach, or
Yeah.
will they be burrowing and?
Yeah, if there's no detection
Exactly.
coming with it, like you're just never gonna clear it out at all. No.
Now we have seen burrow roaches lose to bots that don't have detection. They
Yeah.
just
Ignore
they,
it.
they never pull up in time, and when they
Yeah.
heal up and pop out of the ground, they just instantly get like
Yeah.
smashed down to the bread and then have to burrow again. But I'm not sure if Aeolus can get that sort of lead against a bot like Eris.
Yeah.
That's still trying his best.
I like that the Ling is staying in range to keep him hopeful. Like, if it just ran away, he would have given up a long time ago. Here come stalkers across.
Oh.
They're going to do a slightly better job at getting a ling or two.
Zergling got shot.
Yeah.
They're not impervious to hitting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bot even tries to chase him down with Hellions, and even that is a kind of a nightmare. And Hellions are pretty close to the same speed.
Stalkers assembling here after kind of checking throughout the map.
Yeah, catching a drone might be able to deny this fourth base out of changeling. And 20 lings on the production tab though, so they'll have to get the cancel pretty soon, otherwise you might get overrun by lings.
Yeah, Blink is almost done, but here is a group of lings at the top of the ramp. They are on creep, and again, with no detection, really not going to be able to clear any of that out. So lings do swarm. Blink just done, but they're kind of... Blink can be a double-edged sword in this sort of thing, of like you blink away, but you're also separating all your stalkers, which doesn't matter much when there's 4, but like when there's 20, you're better keeping them in packs so that lings don't get that surround.
Yeah. It looks like the logic also might be something like blink away from the closest Zergling.
Yeah.
Because when he got wrapped around by Zerglings, he blinked forward
Yeah.
to avoid it,
Yeah.
which wasn't the best direction. But yeah, I don't think any sort of micro will help forward stalkers versus 30 lings or whatever that was anyways.
Yeah, no.
That Zealot finally goes down. But he got to use a side blade, so there you go. Rick will be proud.
And at least trying to walk towards like the minerals there to cut off some of the surround. But yeah, like you said, blinking in kind of a seemingly random direction sometimes.
Yeah. The blink micro probably makes a lot of sense when it's
Yeah.
ranged units versus ranged units, but
Yeah.
might get a little wonky when you're surrounded by enemy units.
Stalkers here.
Yeah. I do like the composition of Changeling.
Yeah.
Like a lot of Zerglings with a splash of Hydras is the perfect counter to Blink Stalkers. There's always that indecisiveness with Zerglings though, like do you go into attack or
Yeah.
do you not? Every bot struggles with that quite a bit.
Yeah, these stalkers eventually need to get together to group up to make some sort of progress. They seem to get like very independently controlled, so they're kind of getting pulled apart in directions like this.
Yeah, not getting much in the way of kills either. Putting a lot of damage into a couple of queens, but not actually killing them.
Yeah.
At least it's not Broad Roach, so that's
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, yeah, true. True,
But
true.
yeah, Zergling's just so good versus Stalkers. I'm glad to see this, too, because there's many years where Stalkers were kind of doing really well in the bot scene, like Stalker Immortal, and it's just like, you gotta stop picking roaches against Stalker Immortal. And some of these bots have figured out the power of the Ling.
Yeah, definitely. It's I mean, that's even what like Alpha Star ended up going with most of the time.
Oh,
Stuck. Yeah.
Like into the other side of the mineral wall, I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And he's just got this split up. This one might, you know,
Yeah, so
it's
this will be
a good idea, but
yeah, tougher to get the surface area here.
yeah, yeah.
High ground vision's kind of a problem though I guess he wants to focus his Zerglings first anyways.
Yeah, Lido Hydra's up there backing this up.
Nice position though.
Yeah.
More stalkers reinforcing. A lot of stalkers with no shields, so good micro in that sense, in that regard, and that he pulls back the weak stalkers with blink. But now they're engaging again with none of them having shields, so that's not going to work the second time around.
Yeah, not
However, just a handful of Hydras, so
yeah, the whole army's not really here, so may actually break through anyway, but here comes another round of lings. But now with the Hydra back up, that's not so bad either. But everything is quite low.
yeah, it really needs to like sit there for like 15 seconds just to regather all the shields back.
Yeah.
I do like that he's attacking on so many fronts though. It stresses Changeling's ability to split his army, but
Yeah.
Aeolus is very strong at that, so
Indeed, it feels somewhat like accidental that that's the case, but it works out well, at least for this lower group. Progress was being made there, but yeah, now is shields are gone and hulls are diminishing, then
Yeah,
not
it could
gonna-
be
not gonna
about
work.
that mineral wall in the middle of the map again, where they just
Yeah.
kind of splits
think-
the army into two completely different paths.
Yeah, I think a lot of that. You're right. Yeah, it's hard to know where it's trying to go.
So the unfortunate part here is there is no third base, so Aeolus really has to get a lot of damage done, and he hasn't been able to. So now the economy is kind of out of control. We'll say now with 91 drones and 6 bases for changeling. This should be all she wrote.
Yeah, we are at the max out point, and this is usually when, you're going to have a big attack to get rid of some of the army to allow for some higher tech stuff.
Yeah,
And
just
that's
doing really
not
well
gonna
here. A lot of the damage of Stalkers is versus armored, and obviously that is Hydras are not armored, so let's see if we can get some nice fungos while he breaks to the natural. I think Changeling might go to the offense in a moment here as he's approaching max, or is maxed. He's cleaning up what's left over on his side of the map first. And this should be the final
looks like
fight.
it. All right, moving down to meet them.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
A little bit
yeah.
of a blinding cloud. A nice
Yeah.
position for it too, behind the wall there. Denying that's actually really strong. He denied like 12 stalkers from being
Yeah.
able to shoot.
Yeah, that tends to be an underutilized one. We see a lot of the fungals, but not a lot of the Viper play.
Yeah. So another thing is I'm not sure how many bots have even coded for that.
Yeah.
Like when you go to attack, do you check to see if you're inside of a blinding cloud at that moment in time, or I don't know. Good effort out of Aeolus. I got to see a
Yeah.
lot of his micro, so that's good. But unfortunately, he's just run into one of the best spots on the ladder.
Yeah. Yeah, and probably the worst matchup for doing that, the Lings hitting Zerg. So may get a different race coming up in game number 2. And also, I'm kind of curious, again, because of that middle map thing, creating a few different possible paths, will the army stick together in the next game on a different map? Or was it a design to split them up and attack on multiple fronts? But I kind of, given how early it happened, it was happening with like 4 stalkers and 2 stalkers. I don't think that's an intentional split up.
Yeah,
I think
probably
it's just how it laid out. But yeah, hopping into Automaton.
Yeah, let's see if he gets the googly-eyed dragon this time.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I think that would be the most interesting matchup. Well, both are good. PvP should be okay, and PvT would be interesting. If you get a lot of Marines, then that could be good for the early stalkers.
Yeah, and stalkers are pretty good against those pushes that Terran can do. They can outrange the Marines, so prior to stim, you get a lot of free kills, and then, the bonus versus armor makes them pretty good against all the mech units as well.
Indeed. So let's hop into game number 2.
changeling, changeling, Aeolus,
And we do have a Zerg again.
I wonder if Changeling's actually spawning as random. Or whether
Yeah.
he's choosing what race he spawns as. It's
Yeah.
like, let me just do 90% Zerg. Just to make it look random.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor Aeolus unfortunately running into the best race of Changeling once again.
Yeah. Now he's varying up his build. Aeolus is walling at the top of the ramp this time.
Yeah. So maybe more of a 1-base push. That could be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means Blink will be out before Burrow, and the Burrow wasn't used anyways. So. But no, it looks like he's expanding still anyways. So just a different opener, not the Forge first expand this time.
Yeah. And Eris doesn't tend to be aggressive early on, so this should be fine anyway. The Forge probably not necessarily. Yeah, the cannons and all that not really necessary.
And it's not like it was a really fast expand with the Forge
No.
anyways, so I don't
Yeah.
believe he's giving up much in the way of economy here. In fact, his Nexus is probably down quicker, and then
Yeah.
obviously his tech will be faster as well, having the gateway down already.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because he definitely did Forge, Gateway, 2 cannons before actually putting down the Nexus
Yeah.
last time. So, yeah.
And with Forge fast expand, you really
Robo.
want that fast expand to be the key one, right? Like ideally you want to go Forge right into Nexus or while
Exactly.
you scout, and
Yeah.
you know, if you scout something strong, then you do the cannon the wall off. It's before the Nexus.
So changeling getting the third, and it is, yeah, Robo on Aeolus' side. So Stalker Immortal.
Sounds that way. I mean, based on his description, I don't think it's going to be observers. So
No, yeah.
Immortal does sound like the play. Although we have seen a lot of good things out of Colossus in these maps.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, that could definitely be good too, especially if you do anticipate a Ling heavy army. And as long as you get the game done quickly before those Vipers come out.
Oh, I saw something flash on the map. Stalker got off a single shot.
Nice.
He did it.
Yes, he did. Yeah, because of no wall off, no initial zealot to chase this around, it's going to be the Stalker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Will it
yeah.
actually happen? Whoa.
Big pickup, big pickup. And I,
Forge on the way then now.
okay, so still going to aim for +1.
Yeah. And that is like one of the powerful things about Blink Stalkers is that they kind of have the built-in defense with just their movement speed and the ability to blink.
Yeah.
So it's all about getting the attack upgrades on them. You often see Blink Stalker players go to like 3 attack upgrades and no
Yeah.
armor. Yeah. Oh, speed is now present on the Zerglings. I don't think we're going to see another Ling kill for a while.
Yes, likely not, unless they do it while defending. Queens are kind of all around. 2 Stalkers will get pushed. Third one does group up, not too bad. Losing shields, but very little hull health.
Yeah, and forced out about 8 Zerglings or so. So
Yeah.
anything that's not drones is always a good idea, especially versus Eris.
The
60 more Lings on the way. Now you saw the Immortal, and I think
Yeah.
that's a good decision as well, as
Yeah,
Immortals are scary and Lings are pretty good against them.
indeed. Yeah, you don't really want the Immortal in front by himself, but that is what's happening at the moment. And getting pretty deep in there, and then instantly trapped.
Yeah, just a really nice start out of Changeling here.
Yeah.
Stalker Immortal is a strong composition. They do kind of complement each other well, but they just lack against those light units. Oh, trying to take a third out of Aeolus. Unfortunately,
No
he's
detection.
fisting the most annoying bot to expand the case. If there's not burrowed Zerglings, then there's pooping Overlords, and if there's not pooping Overlords, then there's creep spread already there. You know.
Yeah, that one's not going to go well. At least his army is now kind of grouped up if he makes the second push, but yeah, probably the window gone there. And then if he thinks that he's going up to a 3 base economy, he's not. So
Yeah. But I mean, the nice thing is he's not showing his army to Changeling,
Yeah.
so Changeling is just going pure drones for the while, time being.
Yes.
So maybe you can catch him off guard with a larger army. Yeah, this is basically the entire army we're seeing right here, although it's still pretty good against Stalker Immortal.
yeah, yeah, if that jumps on, it's all right. Regrouping with another little detachment.
But 5 more Stalkers warped in. +1 is already done. There's some opportunities here maybe to catch Changeling off guard. And Aeolus is not floating like the 400 minerals either, so he is
Yeah,
keeping his money spent even though he wants to expand. His
yeah, you can see that
at
he's
least not getting
gearing
hard
up.
locked by it too.
Yeah, Yeah, he's gearing up with like 4 additional gateways and like extra tech as if he's about to have an explosion to his income, but that's not not going to be the case.
Stalker arriving first. And yeah, this looks like too small of an army. I mean, there's not a lot of Zerglings, and he is being tentative with them, pulling them back a lot, taking a lot of hits. I think with the Queens and the Hydras arriving, yeah, now he's going to commit. Activating all the shields on those Immortals. And pulling back again, though.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, not too bad here
Yeah.
in terms of this engagement. Just more so that Changeling didn't really commit all of its stuff. And good position here again. Body blocking with the Stalkers, but they pull back to leave that Immortal out.
Yeah, notice the Stalker's way in the back, how they're actually able to regen shields.
Yeah.
Aeolus has, like, he goes out of his way to protect the Stalkers that have no shields left. So you can see they hang way in the back and just shooting the Zerglings, but they won't expose themselves to the Queens or the Hydras.
Yeah, this
Until
is
they get
doing,
trapped in a corner, like right now.
yeah, it's doing pretty well, like better than you would think from the initial engagement, but I think now that the Immortals are getting cleaned up, yeah, there's a little bit of a clock on it, but army supply is still pretty even, but it's pushing into this is still going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, I won't say he's going to winning or anything, but it is interesting to see some new ideas for the bots, and I like some of this Sniper stuff. Sometimes having those Stalkers hang way back doesn't look good, but oh
Yeah.
my gosh, these Fungos are so nice as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, like in that particular fight, looked pretty well, pretty good there.
He's making a bit of headway here. Again, fungals, but while these are really good, again, because of the really pull-backy stuff, it's taking down shields mostly. If that regens, then these infestors aren't really that great as a sustainable unit. Yeah, more lings come out to... I think it's going to be these small waves of lings that just prevent this from ever going forward enough to make a difference.
And because of the style he's using, even when the Lings get a single hit off, it can be good, because
Yeah.
that'll interrupt the shield regen, and
Yeah.
they'll have to wait on the cooldown again for that.
Yeah, and he's never going to get back to the point of having like 3 Immortals there for stability.
You know. I mean, there are no armored units anyway, so the Immortals are mostly
Yeah.
there just for tanking, but yeah. I mean, he's keeping the push alive.
Yeah, it's very stalemate. It's
interesting.
like we've been at 40 to 50 army supply for like a couple minutes. And there's still, yeah, again, a lot of Stalkers, even though they're weaker. You know, the number does. You could definitely see that if the third base was not blocked, this could spiral really quickly. If you were able to fully utilize the 4 additional gateways, then, you know, there'd be 50 Stalkers here right now.
Yeah. It looks like those infestors gained another 75 energy, so a few more fungals coming out. He did lose a couple of those infestors, however.
Yeah.
And this sort of the hatchery's kind of helping a bit. It's taking
Yeah.
a lot of the shots away from hitting Hydras.
Yeah.
So that might actually allow Changeling to push this battle into his favor.
Yeah, and unless reinforcements are coming soon, which doesn't appear, the gas is the problem right now. So there's just not enough gas to maintain the stalker push.
Yeah, although it's going to flip in a moment because mineral patches are mining out
Yeah,
faster than
that too.
gas. And
Yeah, so I
yeah,
think
very nice. I
that's
would have liked to see a different matchup for game 2, but
yeah.
yeah, Aeolus still putting out a good showing for facing what is basically the best spot on the ladder, more or less.
Yeah, now we're going to get one last push or just a defensive stand, it looks like. The defense here as Hydras come in, and we'll rip things apart.
Well done, Changeling. I guess this might be our first... No one's ever won ProBots on their first arrival, right? Did Eris win on his first arrival? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't know. You'd have to check that, but yeah, I don't. Not that I'm aware of.
Changeling's
Yeah.
He's making a show of it. They
Yeah.
looked really strong there.
Yeah. Do we count that? It's it's just the same. It's just Eris so far, anyway. We'll see the other couple, but I guess it kind of counts. I mean, I think also we've just never had a random champion.
That's the other big one. Yeah.
So yeah,
This
we've
could be the
we've-
strongest random bot. I mean,
yeah.
Deimos and Eris are like right at the top of the ladder, and Phobos the Terran is in Division 1 as well, I believe. So
Yeah.
it's a strong three-way combo.
Yeah. Yeah, that could definitely be tricky if you're right and he is just simulating randomness and he could just tweak it to be like, you know, like 57% chance Zerg.
I was joking about that. He has to be
I know.
spawning as random.
There must be a way. Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to be, but
You could. I'm sure that there
otherwise
is
he's
a thing.
cheating, so I
Yeah,
don't think he's
yeah.
definitely, that was just fluke that he got Eris twice. Deimos actually might be stronger than Eris. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
They're both really strong.
Indeed. Yeah, that would be funny though. Pseudo random. I mean, in game you'd be able to tell, or the other bot would be able, obviously, to see what it was. But
That's true. Yeah, he would know by. If he plays Ketroc, I'll be able to know for sure. Because
Yeah.
Ketroc only does one build versus randoms. So
so on to match number 2 of the day. Also in Group C, it's going to be BenBotBC versus PhantomBot. BenBot tends to lean towards the longer defensive games, but it has been known to mix in the bunker rushing that sometimes, I always say, just kind of accidentally wins from time to time. But yeah, I think there's been more variation there. The straightforward path to BCs is not necessarily the way anymore.
that's true.
PhantomBot here. Okay, here's a breakdown. So BenBot is a Terran Java bot who's been in for quite a while now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, you might be able to say he's the strongest Terran on the ladder. It's he's the only bot that's like consistently getting better of the top Terran bots. So if he isn't the best Terran bot right now, he certainly will be pretty soon.
Yeah, definitely getting more versatile. So yeah, Mass Thor's a weakness and Tempest a weakness. Again, both of them
I
pretty
hear
good
that.
against.
Those are my weaknesses as well.
Yeah, pretty good strategies. Learning method doesn't learn, just makes BCs. Special saves game results and uses this info to decide which build order to use, but it can also select some builds specific to opponents. So yeah, there's definitely some sniping that can happen. There's some matchups I think where it's not selecting the bunker rushes because it knows it won't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not just the builds, it's the build orders. So
Yeah.
like, this tactic doesn't work versus the opponent, so I won't include it. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, bot created just after Christmas in 2019. Yeah, worked on it since then. A few updates. Yeah, so this has been a fairly consistently updated one. A lot of our formerly strong Terrans, just kind of the creators have stopped updating, stopped making them. And PhantomBot on that side, a Zerg bot, prays to survive the early game and then lays siege, swarm them, throw everything, kitchen sink, like Elon walking into Twitter. Early weaknesses to early rushes, tanks. So this may be a problem if there's the bunker contain that comes out early, if that is an issue. Anything that micros is bad, apparently. Uses linear programming to assign targets for harvesters, combat units, and many other tasks. Only a reward function needs to be defined. After that, such assignment problems can be solved efficiently by Skippy, SciPy. I don't know how to say that.
Probably SciPy.
SciPy makes sense.
Python
That's,
library,
anytime,
maybe?
yeah, anytime I see the PY, I'm like, it's something pi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it Skippy? Okay. You can't, since everything's capitals, because they usually do that little stuff. But yeah, so pretty good. A random word of the day: Discordianism, a belief system based around Eris, the Greek goddess of strife, reactive Zerg macro play, and the AI arena Discord. It makes sense. That makes sense.
All right.
It's weird how certain gods come to be. Like some gods make total sense. You're going to have a god of the sun. You're going to have a god of the moon. You're going to have a god of like thunder, the wind, the ocean. Who came up with, you know how sometimes people disagree? There's a god of that. It's the god. You're the god of discord. When two groups are not getting along, there's some lady that's doing that.
I mean, usually it's for stuff you don't understand.
Yeah.
So maybe like this is like you don't want to blame yourself.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, you
It's like,
blame
it's
like,
like
an
I'm not
ex-
an idiot in arguments. There's just some god who's
Yeah,
who's making me
exactly.
argue a lot.
Exactly. Like, guys, Eris wants us to fight with each other. We can't let her win. Something like that. Yeah.
There you go.
So we're going to be on Interloper first, then Acropolis and Abyssal Reef if we get there. And yeah, I think workable enough maps.
Yeah,
Regardless.
nothing really
Yeah,
special about
yeah.
those. Another map though, it has a large wall kind of in the center of the map with a kind of interesting where there's a Zelnaga tower in the center you can reach from both sides, but you can't pass over it. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is interesting.
I like that. Someone actually send units on my SCV there, and I can actually save the SCV.
Yeah. It's almost like an anti-site blocker. Okay, so we are going to hop into game number 1. Let's get going.
BenBotBC. PhantomBot.
And based on the descriptions, I don't really expect too much early super aggression, but I do expect this potential bunker. It's usually set up as a bunker contained, like it's not meant to kill, but it's meant to be obnoxious, and then sometimes it lures the opponent into killing themselves.
Yeah. It will get spotted right away though, which is helpful for PhantomBot. I think BenBot also has like kind of like a weak and strong version of this contain, like my bot does. So sometimes it'll just be like a bunker with an SCV, and then sometimes he'll start making missile turrets and siege tanks and more Marines and bring more SCVs and really try to commit to holding that containment forever.
Yeah, it seems to like it gives up on it easily if there's any opposition, but if it's working, it will stack on it. That seems to be the case. And see, I think there's also a 1 racks and 2 racks version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. This pretty close.
Yeah. Oh, interesting positioning. I think that's specifically chosen to be outside the range of the hatchery's vision and outside the range of the
Drone coming
like
up.
the drone that like leaves the base or whatever. Like he's not putting it right in the middle of the choke point. He's actually kind of hiding it down the south.
Yeah, I have a feeling that this will be fairly effective.
Oh, and this timing is perfect for BenBot. As soon as the hatchery finishes, the bunker finishes immediately afterwards. Yeah, this could be trouble for PhantomBot. He's got a queen on the way, a couple zerglings. Let's hope he doesn't funnel the zerglings to their death quickly.
Yeah, there's no real reaction to this so far. A few lings being made, but not panicking with or trying to attack the drones or anything. But yeah, then the lings. Yeah. And with the SCV in a nice safe position behind it too, just there for the repairs. Then, yeah. Unless he really groups something up, then that's going to be tough.
Yeah, BenBot has put some work into trying to keep his SCVs alive as well in these scenarios. You'll see other bots just kind of gun down the SCVs first and then start working on the bunker. And BenBot's like, no, I'm going to keep my SCVs away until you actually start hurting the bunker a lot, so I'm going to prioritize keeping my SCVs alive. Yeah, unfortunately these Zerglings not pooling up at all, so I expect this hatchery will go down. I mean, there is another base to transfer these workers too, which we're seeing happen right now, although someone got intercepted by a Marine.
Yeah. Yeah, the other Marines would be the key now, because the bunker being tucked away actually doesn't prevent that from happening. But yeah, it's these free guys roaming around.
So I mean, it is still a 2-hatch
Yeah.
PhantomBot. I mean, if he were to pull up, you know, 10 lings and a couple queens and break out, I think he's still in a fine spot. So, question is, can that happen?
Yeah.
Queen getting
now
caught off
caught.
creep will be going down. Yeah, Zerglin's taking pot shots, unfortunately. Not able to, you know, stay back without taking hits, which is the type of stay back you want. Trying to expand again to the natural base, which is obviously not the best idea.
Yeah, that won't quite work out. Yeah, Marines continuing to accumulate here. Let's see if they get caught trying to go to the high ground, but they want to finish this queen. Going in pretty deep.
Yeah, queen does go down.
Full
And we've seen
attack,
this with bots like, oh, he does engage, that's good.
Yeah.
But we've seen that with bots like 12 pool bots, where like the lings are waiting to pool up to a large size, but while they're waiting, they're getting hit by Marines,
Yeah.
which is super painful because then you never actually reach that critical mass anymore.
Yeah. Creep spreading back down. Might help. At least reconnecting the ramp to the creep helps a little with the queen, but
Yeah, yeah. Queens off creep are basically dead meat, so even the ability to retreat is nice.
yeah, the insistence on
right there,
re-expanding. Yeah, now we make it into drone death cycle.
I mean, there might be enough to actually go and break out.
Yeah.
Because there is like a good 20, 30
Yeah.
lings out, I think, now. If you can count both sides.
We're getting now the dreaded Widow Mine is coming to help guard the bunker. Then yeah,
Marauder is out
Marauder
as
there.
well.
No tank yet, because yeah, often that does make its way across too.
Yeah, and we can't forget that on the other side of the map, we do have a full 2-base economy
yes.
now at a BenBot.
Yeah,
I think he
even
does
if
actually.
this gets cleaned up, doesn't matter.
I think he does actually cut SCVs at the very start of the game to get this out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So it takes a while for him to catch up economically, but he's definitely at that point and then some.
Okay. Yeah, Widow Mine's not coming across them for the defensive ones.
Looks like the SCV went down, so
Yeah.
any damage on that bunker will be permanent now.
19 Marines. Oh yeah, 19 Marines, but no SCV, so it must have just left. But we'll take the bunker out.
Yep, and those Marines go down, and the third base is already built, or already in production, I should say. So PhantomBot does survive. Like, I mean, but he's up against Tech Lab Starport with a third base on the way. You know, it's
Yeah.
a very good spot for BenBots, but at least it
Well,
wasn't a game over victory at the
Indeed.
start.
Now, in an effort to catch up, he is making 2 Rich Warrens.
Oh. Double upgrades, right? You get those are 2 upgrades for
Sure.
roaches now.
Sure. That's the plan.
Every once in a while,
Yeah.
we've seen this on the pro scene. I remember like double Hydra dens, so you can get speed and range at the same
Yeah.
time, being a thing for a little while.
Yeah, could be possible. We'll see if that starts. But yeah, we'll stabilize here a bit. And past this bunker rush, BenBot doesn't tend to be very aggressive or anything until we get into the later game stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there is time to recoup.
And like that is a weakness we've seen in BenBot before, where the
Yeah.
bunker rush gets him so far ahead he can't lose, but then he sits back for 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
the opponent, you know, just has the better late game somehow.
Yeah.
He comes back into the game. Yeah, can't remember what I was gonna say. Things keeping the close tabs. I do like that it's actually saying out tank range. It's nice.
Yeah, and yet not really getting into this mineral line or anything. A nice widow mine there, zoning out stuff. Do the destructible rocks, it'll be fun.
Yeah, unfortunately not wanting to engage, but it's still close enough to take some kills from this bio.
Yeah.
Not that scary of a bioforce, but scary enough. With a couple medevacs assisting as well now.
Yeah, still pretty strong, and going out with that Raven will clear up some of the creep, which has been pretty good. The creep spread overall, despite the bunker, has made its way across half the map.
Yeah, and it has been heavy army production from PhantomBot as well. We haven't seen a whole lot in the way of drones being made.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the other option was like, you know, make a fourth base, quickly saturate your 3 bases, try to get back to the game that way. That's not what happened. So we really want to see PhantomBot get a lot of damage done with this army. Otherwise, it's just going to be too far behind economically. Does have some Ravagers now. So biles are being laid, and BenBot doing a really good job of dodging the biles. Dodging them without like making a gigantic gap in his army. Some bots go too far when they see a bile, they just completely spread out in all directions
scatter.
and stop attacking. BenBot's able to continue attacking while not taking the hit. And kind of winning the fight on all sides. Mostly due to the hesitancy to attack, let's say, for PhantomBot.
Yeah. Yeah, unless it's overwhelming, it's not really committing to any of this, which is pretty tough.
I guess that must be really difficult to code, because we see it so often with Zerg bots, even like the top ones. It's probably similar to like trying to dive Tempest with Vikings. It's like,
Yeah.
you definitely can't be hesitant about it, but then it's also hard to decide when's the right time to actually do it.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're relying so much too on your clean support, is as you dive in, you get further and further away from that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if yes, don't know what they're doing.
I think they ate a bile though on the way
Yeah,
through. I think
yeah,
I saw a
yeah.
bile kill like 4 SCVs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're attempting to do, but it's
Oh,
fine.
I think the rocks went down. There's
Oh,
Zerglings
yeah?
like pressuring the bunker.
Yeah.
And every time a Zergling
yeah.
got shot by a siege tank, it was damaging those rocks. So
Yeah.
I think the rocks ended up going down.
Okay.
It's kind of funny.
It is funny. Yeah, they're trying to wrap around to this base. Okay, well that could be an interesting development if that continues somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, it
PhantomBot
is.
needs a lot of help. I mean, killing
Yeah.
off 15 SCVs, that's a little bit.
Yeah.
That's
so
a step on the right path.
Yeah, this army's job is now defending a trade route.
Yeah. And I feel like the
Pushing
bio is
that.
just kind of like what BenBot does with his leftover minerals, more or
Yeah,
less.
yeah, more
So,
than this.
This is not supposed to be doing this well, I don't believe,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Maybe he like looks going pure bio versus Zerg. That could be the case. But I did see those Tech Lab starports a while ago.
Yeah,
so.
the BC just starting here now. Yeah, that's what
There's
we want to
Fuji
get
Core,
to.
yeah.
But yeah, it may be over by then, as we're getting into what ended up being the second base, really. That one going down.
Yeah, so just like a nice lead for BenBot right from the start of the game. PhantomBot tried to come back by building a larger army, but fortunately one of the best things BenBot has going for him is his turtley defense. So
Yeah.
a handful of Zerglings and Ravagers aren't going to break through the planetaries and bunkers and little mines and siege tanks.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like BenBot is a bot that only defends and then sometimes accidentally wins. Like it's an afterthought to actually attack. But yeah, BCs will close it out here.
Yeah, stealing the glory. It's like one of those bosses that like shows up right before a project's done just to take all the credit.
Pretty much.
That was me. Don't mind those marauders. They helped a little, but it was mostly me.
Indeed. So yeah, there we go. I think if he had committed more to the bunker, then that could have just won right there if like a tank came up or anything like that. But it did enough damage or hold back that it worked out. And then I think you're right that had PhantomBot not kind of tried to be counteroffensive and kept making army, BenBot just would have sat there for a while.
Yeah.
It was the army that like lured him out across the entire map.
And when you don't want to engage, stay back.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
those
exactly.
Zerglings, when they're not engaging, probably took like 5,000 damage or something
Yeah.
throughout the course of that game. That's
Yeah.
so many extra Zerglings you could have had.
Yeah.
And if
yeah.
it wasn't like replacing those Zerglings, it could have been drones. Like the whole game could have shifted. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going on to Acropolis next. Given the success, I do expect BenBot to do the same sort of bunker thing. It was seen early, like you said, by PhantomBot, just there was no real reaction to it at all. So we'll see if he gets that going again. Let's hop in.
BenBotBC. PhantomBot.
I do like his ProBots image though. It's like a
Yes.
scary Phantom of the Opera sort of mask.
Yeah, it is cool.
That's us.
It is. I like the bent P. I've commented on the P. Nice slope. Overlord, I don't know what he's doing. He's trying not to see this.
I really don't want to see this bug. This
Yeah,
bug.
that's weird.
There he
Okay,
goes.
there, it sees it by accident. But didn't really respond last time anyway, so it's fine. But if the Overlord just chills there, then that could be a victim of a Marine popping out eventually. And this one, I guess, unless there's a really weird bunker position, is going to intercept any attempt at a third.
Yeah, but that also means the drone that tries to take the third is going to be able to see the bunker.
Yeah, true.
So there's no reaction to the barracks, but we don't know whether there's a reaction to the bunker or not.
Yeah, yeah.
So
and
now that definitely
coming
is
out.
spotted. Is there a drone pull?
No,
Anything like that?
yeah, no attack on the SCV, which could have worked there given the earliness of it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, good call.
So unfortunately, bots are kind of scripted like a, almost imagine it
Oh,
like a
no.
tree. So
Yeah.
there's all these different like branches and twigs you can kind of spread out onto for different aspects of the game, but usually expect the start of the game to be somewhat consistent. So we're just on the trunk right now for PhantomBot,
yeah.
and like there's no decisions to be made. Everything's just supposed to be normal, and it's not, and he doesn't have, you know, the coding to deal with these like weird edge cases, like if you have a bunker built in your natural at the start of the game.
Lings coming in. SCV again in a decent position, although it could be attacked from Lings from the back once that hatchery's up. But this will be pretty good.
Yeah, and this could be absolutely game-ending. We'll have to see what happens with the drones, but yes,
Yeah.
I do like this though. The SV, notice how it's trying to stay out of green range.
Yeah.
That is something that's unique to BenBot. Wonder if he does it on his planetaries as well. I mean, everything that gets repaired for Terran is so much weaker in the bot meta because bots are so good at just killing all the SCVs instantly. Even with like Zerglings, like emptying an entire SCV line around a planetary with Zerglings is something you wouldn't expect to be possible, but bots can do it. Yeah, this could be game ending though, because there's, you know, if drones try to transfer to that third, like we're seeing right now, yeah, that's gonna be rough, going right by the bunker.
Picking off a lot more, yeah, drone kills that basically stayed at this natural. Oh, Ling's flanking the barracks, but that's not going to help a lot. And with the
Yeah,
time-
I mean that's something, I guess.
yeah, it's there. It exists. Nothing's really totally cleaning them up yet. Overlord dies.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it this game for PhantomBot. I mean,
No.
there was chances last game. This is just looking really bad.
Yeah, if anything pulls him down to being aware of this third base or like pulls him in that direction, then that could be like just shut it down.
Does look like the SCV is gone again though, so
Which is funny because it doesn't die. I think it just leaves.
it's like
Yeah, that's
done
it.
my job.
That's it. Yeah.
now he's like attacking Zerglings with that
yeah.
SCV. Interesting.
Yeah, that is kind of funny because if it stayed there, then yeah, you would just kind of have this be infinite.
He might have figured out what works best on this bunker
Yeah.
contain against, say, like an Aeolus or a Caninana, one of the top bots. And maybe against those bots is just kind of like... At this point in the game, it's better just to get my CB back home to mine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bunker still flashing, so it's still taking some permanent damage. One thing I forgot that exists in the main game now is you can't salvage a bunker when it's under attack anymore.
Oh yeah.
I remember reading that in a patch,
When
and then I
did that-
forgot about
yeah,
it for
when did
months,
that
and then I
happen?
couldn't figure out why I couldn't
Yeah.
salvage my bunker. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is it canceling?
Yeah, I haven't played a lot in a while, and I keep seeing like patch messages that are really like the suggested ones, but then that's not the one that goes in anyway, and some of those are like wild. So I don't really know what's in or not in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Yeah.
StarCraft 2 is not in good shape right now.
No.
Unfortunately, there's some major bug that allows people to inject things into the arcade, so they had to turn off all publishing on the arcade. And without publishing, we can't test any new balance patches either.
Right.
So, yeah, the people
Yeah.
are putting in like death videos and like all like really bad stuff. It got bad press for Blizzard, so they just turned it
Yeah.
off.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd seen that people you can't even upload a new map or anything right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That they were saying we've got a map contest going, but no, you can't play it. Alright, bunker finally killed here, but again, got a lot of work done. Still at 30 workers. This army kind of in the middle that neither one of them really wants to engage, but neither one of them is super disengaging either.
Yeah, but he needs to clear out those 4 Zerglings though, because they're
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
or those 4 Marines, because they're still
Yeah.
preventing all the
So
drones from
good.
transferring from one base to another.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it does finally get the engagement, and the breakout is at the 6-minute and 30-minute mark. That hatchery was able to saturate itself, though, even though he wasn't able to transfer drones there, so that's something, I guess.
Yeah. And now he's actually pushing across. This just in full retreat are going to allow units to die. All right. Rejoining a few reinforcements to turn around.
Yeah, not a ramp you can go up, not with the bunkers there. So
No.
that 3rd base should be able to get set up pretty safely, I would think. And yeah, similar to game 1, we're still seeing a lot of army production on the tab for PhantomBot, so I don't think he's going to be saturating a 3rd base quickly either. So I really want him to deny that 3rd, and he actually does get Zerglings up there. Let's see if I can do anything. Siege Tank getting a lot of free shots.
I want to see one of these widow mines go off, but will not. Yeah, there's kind of no safe way in and out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe if he pulls back, he'll come at it from the north on the 2nd attempt, because I do see like a few lings coming in from the north there. But yeah, if you're going to be building non-stop army at this point, you really need to deny that 3rd of BenBot. And as it's turning into a planetary, that window is super tight. It's got to be like now or never, and there's so much bio too.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
he goes
tough
for a
matchup
push.
for PhantomBot here.
Widow mine coverage and that planetary almost done. And yeah, at some point this Terran army is going to be confident enough to just go.
Yeah, BenBot's is a real killer. I mean,
Yeah. It's patient, like, yeah, just patient, sturdy, doesn't overcommit, as we're seeing. Sometimes even maybe when it should. But, yeah, just very patient.
and it's a bot that gets updated, which is
Yeah.
really important. And it's often the subtle things you change in your bot that can have like the largest effect on your win rate. So it's like, yeah, before he made bio MBCs, now he makes bio MBCs. But if you just do like little things better,
Yeah.
like we've seen so many bot games we're kind of immune to the fact of like when a bot is just bleeding workers, like one worker at a time, time after time after time. But like fixing that would be like the biggest thing that would like make your bot better. So all those like little things are getting fixed for BenBotBC, and now he's a killer. Real threat to win tournaments.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's made it pretty deep runs in the past.
I know I just casted SC2AI's tournament, but I can't remember the results anymore. But I do remember BenBot doing very well. I can't remember if he made the finals or maybe if he won it. Like, I have literally no memory of that tournament for some reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
a strong run.
Yeah, it tends to be one of the ones, like, a lot of bots you can kind of describe what they're doing and what their plan is to win. Like, here's the solution where I win the game. With BenBot, it doesn't feel like that's the case. It's just I do a bunch of sturdy things, like solid stuff, and then I win at some point. That seems to be what a lot of it is. Because it used to be, like, way back, it was all focused on the battle cruisers, which it still makes, but the whole point was make a battle cruiser, warp it across immediately, get a lot of damage done, let that spiral. That's the plan to win, but that's not really the plan to win anymore. It's much more passive than that.
Yeah. And I think we did see big upgrades to his BCs as well. In the SC2I tournament, where they were jumping on top of Tempest and Yumato-ing the Tempest down. So
nice.
That was pretty cool, yeah. Because normally Tempest like absolutely wreck BCs. They do like 100 damage per shot or something ridiculous versus massive. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, so well done, BenBotBC, and PhantomBot will still be in the tournament. So hopefully get to see some more cool things out of PhantomBot, as that was probably not a great matchup for him.
Yeah. No, definitely not there. So yeah, we'll show up in the losers. So I think we are taking a 5-minute break between, and then we're coming back with Group D. So stay tuned. Hello. We are back here for Group D now, the third game or match 3, I guess, in our second week here. We had a good 2-0, 2-0 victories in Group C. But now we are going to see negativeZero make its return to ProBots against a new bot, also a Protoss, theBigBot. So, and not just, like, it's not just a big bot, it's the big bot. It's the definitive big bot. So, I expect like Golden Armada style stuff out of this one, but I don't know.
I gotta say, I don't even know anything about the big bots.
Yeah.
So this will be really interesting for me.
Well, we'll learn as we go into the stat sheet. But a good time for those sticking around. A great time to like and subscribe. Definitely helps the channel, helps the algorithm, helps the bot reveal the bots to other people who are interested in bots. And if you are interested in bots and you want to be like one of these cool authors, you want to be like Ketroc, being all clever, using coding, being super cool and sexually virile, then there is going to be a link in the description to our template to help you get started on one of these bots. And you can make your own. And literally, with the guides that we have available that Drekkin's put together and some of the frameworks and stuff, you can have a bot actually. You can go from not even having like Python or any coding installed on your machine to having a working bot actually running and Zerg rushing people within an hour. So definitely check that out if it at all interests you. A lot of people, I'm always surprised at how many new authors we're still getting at this point in the game. But that is cool.
It's a really cool project. It's really fun and addictive to get into coding wise. So. And a lot of the coders don't know anything about StarCraft to begin with, so they don't care if people are playing it a lot or whether it's a popular game or not. So they just thought it's a pretty cool and competitive project.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. Because that had never occurred to me that was going to occur. Like, it always struck me as if you're interested in StarCraft 2, you might learn how to code it. Never really occurred to me that people just code well would be like, I need a game to play. What's a cool thing? But yeah, there's a lot of that. Actually, part of some of the teams that we've gotten have been like someone is a good coder and we're interested in it, and then they eventually hooked up with someone that kind of knows the game a little bit more, so that you get that meta knowledge and stuff in there. So I think we're going to take a look at where we are in the bracket so far. So games played already. Changeling beating Aeolus 2-0. Changeling is the author of Eris, Phobos, and Deimos, playing now as a random. Aeolus, a new Protoss bot that we got, but had to hit a Zerg twice. And BenBot we just saw taking out PhantomBot in a 2-0 there as well. So Changeling and BenBot will advance to the winners match. In this, the winner of that will get out right away. The loser of it will play the winner of Aeolus versus PhantomBot. I actually think that's going to be a pretty good match. Aeolus versus Phantom.
Yeah, yeah. BenBot's made some strides against taking on the top bots, so
Yeah.
he's looking a little better against Eris nowadays. And
Indeed.
Changeling is not always Eris,
Yes,
despite what we saw in
exactly.
the previous series. So
Yeah, exactly. So we are now looking at the right side, negativeZero versus theBigBot, followed by Ketroc, made by someone, against ChatGPT, clearly, or just GPT, but, I'm going to keep saying that anyway.
yeah, that's all I think of when I see GPT.
Yeah, exactly. Which is obviously, it's not like that's random. I assume that's what he named it after, but whatever. We'll see. Maybe it chats. Who knows?
I wonder if it stands for something different.
Okay.
General
Yeah,
purpose
makes,
Terran. There
makes
you go.
sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Version 4.0. All right. Are we going to see stats on these guys, negativeZero and theBigBot? TheBigBot will be learning in real time along with you. negativeZero last time we saw was very heavy on things like the Adept openers. So negativeZero coded by Azu and programmed in the language Go, which is also a lovely game that AlphaGo in that case learned. The guy from did you ever watch the documentary AlphaGo?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So that guy was just on a Korean reality game show, which is also on Netflix.
Yeah, and I saw. Well, I watched like one episode of that.
Yeah, Devil's Plan.
I
Really?
know
Yeah,
of it,
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, I've got one episode left, which I'll watch later today when we're done. But yeah. So here, negativeZero tries to react the most optimal way to whatever the opponents. I feel like sometimes these descriptions are just what everyone does in every strategy game ever. Like, of course, you're trying to react the best way to what your opponent does. But yeah. Their weakness is well-timed pushes. Makes sense. Again, that's a pretty global sort of weakness. Special and marked other on the decision-making model. I used AI to review the code, interesting, and make a summary for me. I wouldn't say it's special, but this is the response and hopefully does better job explaining than I can. Okay, so this is the AI responding. Its weighted decision-making appears in several forms. 1, target selection. Enemy units are scored based on weighted factors like damage and other factors. I don't know if this...
Just damage.
I don't know. I don't know if this scrolls down at all, but I'll make something up. Bases on damage, hull health, and priority in a fight, range maybe. Number 2, it probably uses unit color to make a lot of decisions. The bot is 158
I
files.
actually got it here.
You got it? Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, weighted decision based on target selection, so damage, distance, health, strategic importance, tactical positioning, so proximity, defense value, access to retreat paths, offensive opportunities, and then strategy selection, enemy unit composition, resource availability, map control, game phase, things like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. That is a good one. We've often talked about that with these bots. Like, it's really hard to know, like, when do I dive on a tank because it's important? When do I zoom in and try and take out that liberator in the sky that's controlling space? Like, stuff like that is a tough decision to make. So considering all that stuff, like the actual strategic importance of units as opposed to just it's in my face, can definitely be really good. The big bot, all in all day. Can't let these old bots get to the late game. That's often a good approach as a newer author.
Well put, yeah.
Yeah. Random bots are a weakness since I guess it doesn't know which all in to do. And then defending, so it always wants to be on the attack. Tracks enemy movement to predict attacks and disjoint projectiles with warp prisms, blink micro army formations to create nice concaves and keep units from getting separated and picked off one by one. So
That's cool.
grouping together behavior.
Yeah, prism micros. It's pretty cool with bots because they
Yeah.
can they can keep that prism like nonstop active of like jumping units in and out.
Yeah, and with the specific purpose of avoiding the projectiles coming out is good. I think we are. I mean, we are. I don't know if you are. We hear voices in our heads. So match 3 here. I think we are indeed ready to go. We're going to have a PvP and probably a very all-in focused PvP. 3-gate, 4-gate? Let's see.
-0. The Big Bot.
I feel the big bot needs a portrait. How hard is it to find a picture of a big bot? The Iron Giant, maybe? Something like that? Yeah.
It
yeah,
should also
okay,
take up
yeah.
like 80% of the screen.
Exactly. Yeah, just this oversized bot. I mean, just putting a picture of a Colossus would be fine. Your Protoss. Big bot scouting across, seeing some buildings at the top of the ramp. There by -0. -0 has often opened with adept openers, which if you're trying to all in him on the other side, could get a lot of work done in taking out workers.
Yeah. I know -0 is not one to be greedy in the PvP matchup. He definitely plays under the assumption of first to expand is first to die. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, often been the case since the origin of SC2. First to deviate from the 4-gate died, then eventually a few other things. But yeah, both scouting, keeping an eye on things.
yeah, -0 seeing the double gas and the cybercore timing. So very similar openers so far. Now that the
Adepts.
cybercores are finishing, we do have 2 adepts for -0, and BigBot's going to start with the stalker
Okay.
and a proxy robo.
All right. So yeah, this is kind of what I was thinking may happen, that we're going to have the 2 adepts potentially just come across while the big bot is really looking to push on his own and get up to that proxy location. Then you may not have the defense that you want at home. But we'll see how that goes as 2 adepts pop, instantly shade forward to save a little time.
Yeah, I mean, there are stalkers spawning from the far side of the map for BigBot too, so we'll have to see how this goes with the shades and the pathing, but
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
end up the stalkers get distracted by these, or they pass in the night, or maybe they kill the adepts.
Good spot to find them right there, just on the ramp choke. We'll chase that forward, but there'll be 2 more stalkers coming out here shortly. But how much damage will this get done in the meantime? 1 probe going down, 2. Yeah, already a fair bit.
Yeah. But those 2 stalkers are crossing the map, so there's opportunity for some counter damage on the other
Yeah.
side. Obviously, there's not going to be those adepts aren't going to be home to defend. But they have already gotten a lot of value in all those probes they've killed off.
Yeah, definitely. If this is offensive quick with the immortal support, you could just pop that pylon and be done with it. But there is an immortal there defending as well.
Yeah, Mortal and Mortal, the
And, yeah.
vision is actually huge in this
Yeah.
case.
Yeah, that's going to be the big part of the decider here. Yeah, doesn't even get the last stalker.
Yeah, just 1 stalker for that Immortal, unfortunately. With less workers. Might be able to pick off an adept here, but he wasn't focusing the weak adept, and the adept will actually
Yeah.
survive. 2 shots to
Yeah.
kill, only took 1.
There's a prism, which would definitely help with the future high ground, but now we're going to end up with like 3 immortals up here defending. That's pretty tough.
Yeah.
There.
And just the lack of high ground vision is so, like, every time
yeah,
he gets
yeah,
close to that
it's-
ramp, it's just so much firepower. Negatives are coming down the ramp helps Bigfoot
Yeah.
trade a little bit more evenly on the low ground, but still heavily outnumbered. Does have the Warp Prism now. I mean, there's no projectiles from Immortals though,
Yeah.
so you can't dodge the Immortal shots.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, those are the big firepower here.
Can you force field the bottom of the ramp by any chance? Probably not, though. Good pick
It would
up
be
there.
interesting if a bot attempted a permanent force field sort
Yeah.
of build.
You should be, yeah. I mean, you should be able to, as long as it can identify where it's at. Yeah. This may be a walk across now.
Those Immortals that every time they get in range is just
Yeah.
instantly dead Stalker. I mean, if those are only Stalkers, I could see this working out okay. He is dodging the projectiles from the Stalkers very often.
Yeah.
That's as far as he's willing to retreat to.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Warp Prism may end up even going down here. It does. And that's going to be all she wrote. Even the Adept, has that been there the whole time? Can we click on the Adept, see how many kills it has? One. They're right.
One.
Okay. I was expecting to see a big number. That was,
Yeah, I think it just shaded ahead of the rest of the group. Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it just hung across the map the entire time. Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of the proxy immortal. That's
Yeah.
that could be probably killed many bots, which is why he's in ProBots to begin with.
I think it too. If it was synced up a little more with the first two stalkers that were there, then maybe you do a little bit better. It was relatively even, but sometimes then it's just who shoots first and whatever. But if the stalkers were giving it the high ground vision and it could kind of come in from the back,
It's
that
tough
would
because it's -0. -0 is one
It's really
basing
good.
himself, and he's using that high ground advantage. So
yeah,
and rushing his own immortals. So yeah, there's like really no advantage besides hopefully catching him off guard.
yeah. Indeed. All right. I guess
we're going into game 2.
We're loading in. Yeah. Let's take. Oh no, we're gonna come back and look that it's Acropolis, and then we're gonna wait 30 seconds, and then we're gonna go in. But you can't see us anymore. We're here.
I'm Thunderbird.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay, there. Something's happening. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of expect a fairly repeat thing here. The exact timing and maybe catching of the adepts could make a fair bit of difference. Like they had 5 probes dead before they were even engaged, really. If the stalkers hadn't already moved out, do they stay home, do something else? Does it kind of shut that down, whatever? Or if they move out and let's say pass shades instead of running into the actual units, maybe they attack sooner.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, I think we saw worst case scenario there. So
Yeah.
they didn't defend the shades and they didn't get across the map immediately either.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the timing how that'll work. They might already be 2 stalkers waiting for them by the time they get across the map,
think
but
so,
maybe not.
but
Maybe they win that fight on the ramp.
Yeah, there should be a little window there, but let's see in game number 2, hopping into Acropolis.
-0. The Big Bot.
All right, so I wonder if BigBot has a different cheese lined up for game 2, or that we're going to see more of the same.
Yeah, can definitely do several variants of all-ins. Protoss has options for different stuff. Gonna get a second gateway at the ramp here for -0, so this is looking pretty similar. And BigBot in with the scout.
Yeah, gets that early scared off. Not sure there's a whole lot to learn against Protoss this early in the game, but
Not really. Yeah, it's usually the post-Cybercore decision. Other than that, it's one, obviously, did you expand? But Neither of them are doing that. Allocation to the gas a little bit if you're kind of cutting or loading that on, but yeah. But it's always that post cybercore. What tech are you adding? And
All right.
proxy location. It's a bit. He's being conservative with this, but the proxy location itself is a bit far too. Which, given that you got to walk the immortal down, you kind of want that again to sync up with when the two stalkers are going to be there, so that everything just goes at the same time. But again, meeting adepts on the way is going to throw that off a little bit, and the distance from that robo is going to throw it off.
Yeah, I mean, like I feel in the bot meta it might be better to build it really close because
Yeah.
it could even force some dumb decisions of like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna go try to attack that robo with probes or something, and like obviously that's not what you want to do.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it cuts the distance in half, we'll say, from building it at home. Maybe a little bit more, even to a third. Okay, so here comes the Adepts this time, and the two Stalkers completing at the moment. Looks like they will meet each other.
yeah, kind of.
Yeah, so this is unfortunately going to be similar to last time. So if these Stalkers are just beeline to -Zero's ramp, maybe they arrive before there's any units there.
These.
Otherwise, you really want them at home to just prevent all
Yeah.
these worker kills, and neither is happening.
So he is continuing across, but again, the immortal is popping out just now. These again, we're going to get, I think, the two stalkers. Maybe they're going to sync up. They're close, but no, they're going to go in like 10 seconds earlier.
And this is even more worker damage this time, right?
Yeah. Yeah, last time I think one of the adepts left kind of on its own volition. And that has not happened this time.
So unfortunately, that's kind of game, right?
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
economy left to even challenge this army size. So unless -Zero just kind of does something crazy. Oh, there is the ability to force field. That could be something.
Yeah.
Force fields are probably really hard to code, but one thing you could code well is force fielding in the middle of a ramp.
Yeah,
'Cause
you
the
could
main
just.
base ramps are always the same size.
Yeah, so the trickle up here, there's just no way. Yeah, to even get vision.
Has -Zero lost a unit yet? That's the question.
Yeah, put it on.
There goes Nebula.
There it goes, yeah. Yep, so pretty, well, quicker, a little more dominant than the first one, just because, well, largely because the Adepts did a lot better, but just the way things synced up time-wise, there wasn't even any initial damage done to -Zero on the Stalkers or anything, so -Zero, which is one of the best spots in the tournament, is going to take that one, and BigBot will drop to our losers.
I wonder if there's a play you can make on a containment, maybe.
You must be
Proxy
able
Immortal
to.
contain. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You could, yeah, I mean, there must be a way to do it. Yeah, like, and it would be hard for something to like know if there's no air, if there's no like warp prism to go around it, or especially if the behavior's not coded to allow it, and you were just able to permanently block the ramp. But you need, I mean, you need a number of sentries. Like, it's a commitment to do it permanently, but you could definitely, once you do it, once you've got it set up, it's trivial to maintain it as long as there's no back door to it. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, well done by -Zero, dominating game one and then coming into game two saying, "Now I can even do better than that." So he's going to be a tough one to beat in this tournament.
Yes, indeed. It does seem like that. So we're on to our last match of today, which is going to be a TVT. Someone named Ketroc is the first Terran against the general purpose Terran, GPT. Also a new bot to the tournament. And Yeah, tell us a little about Ketroc. What's new?
I have worked on a couple little things though. They haven't not really in this version of my bot yet. One thing I really want to get working on, I'm trying to build a drop harass that involves having two SCVs inside the medevac, because SCVs inside the medevac actually auto repair if other mech units are in there.
Right.
So I'm trying to make a drop of a Hellion, a Cyclone, and two SCVs, and then have them all kind of do everything right. The SCVs will pop out to heal the medevac and like,
Nice.
but so I've gotten as far as a Cyclone drop. So
Okay.
the medevac and the Cyclone will micro together.
Cool.
The rest of the rest making that all work together could be something that never comes to fruition, but it's my next idea.
Yeah.
TVT probably the strongest matchup of Ketroc, so that's making me feel pretty good here.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Really good tank positioning. Really patient bot. And yeah, just good control of space and everything.
And when I was actively building my bot, the killer was Micro Machine, so that's where I put a lot of my focus was
Yeah.
how the hell do we kill Micro Machine? Then I kind of stopped working on my bot, and then Aeolus and negativeZero came around, so that's maybe why TVP and TVZ are not good matchups for me.
Makes sense.
But I actually have no idea about how the game's going ladder between myself and GBT, so this will all be new to me as well.
All right. Will be a surprise. So GPT coded in C#, a Terran bot, and this is the first appearance. So GPT goes for timing-based attacks focused around upgrades. So interesting. I assume, yeah, stim, combat shields, things like that, or maybe a +1. Cheese and the late game is a weakness because I'm developing my own framework. It's missing a lot of general logic to deal with cheese and isn't developed enough to deal with the late game. So yeah, so something tells me maybe early mid game is where it's looking to pounce. I'm proud of GPT's performance. On average, and all its calculations take 1 to 3 milliseconds per step update on the ladder. On my own PC, it can win a 15-minute match with only 25 seconds of computing time. Interesting. All of this while processing the entire map and game state. Each match, there's no hard-coded map data. Okay. I think it's the second bot today to kind of mention that.
Nice.
In additional, there is a slash.
A forward slash. That's interesting.
Yes, a forward slash.
We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, that's very, very important. Yeah. So the maps are going to be a Thunderbird, Interloper, and Acropolis. We've seen some bots, I think, struggle with it's hard to know for sure, but I think struggle with the mineral patches in the middle of Thunderbird. I think that is screwing up a few of them. We saw in the first game, Aeolus kind of struggled to get stalkers together as it was pathing around weird. And in our first week, we saw some issues there as well with trying to constantly path through the mineral patches, not really understanding them as terrain blockers. So can get some weird behavior there. And definitely the setup for this, if this ends up in like a tank type match, just the circuitous up down ramp part in the middle can be pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, so I guess you don't know much about it for any predictions, but I predict Ketroc.
So my bot is set to use its like winningest strategies versus other bots. But the other thing is, I'm not sure if we were in the same division, so maybe our bots have never played each other. And if that's the case, my bot is going to start collecting data. So it's going to start doing like random builds and stuff. It's like, let me try SCV rushing him and seeing what happens and things like that. So who knows what could be pulled out here.
Fair enough. Yeah, it definitely makes sense. I think, Ketroc does tend to go to the late game a lot. So if that is a weakness for GBT, then that may be an issue. Usually if it's, again, a newer bot, I'm betting it's a 2, maybe maximum 3 base play, but I'm betting 2.
Yeah.
That will
Ketroc is really good at tank versus tank battles too. It's it pays really close attention to vision of like which tanks can like who can see where, and when they can, it'll step its tanks forward into range and scan and gun them down. Yeah, so that could come into play as well.
Indeed. Okay, so I think we're ready to hop in. Let's see game number 1.
Ketroc. GPT.
So it is interesting that he's making his own framework because, as far as I know, I think C# already has 3 frameworks.
Yeah.
And then I think Tier doesn't even use a framework, and now we have another C# bot, and they're making another framework. So
Just like frameworks.
plenty of options. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're really like into like digging into the frameworks, you'll all of a sudden start finding things that like, oh, like if I wrote this, I would have done it this way. and then you get to like you get that pull to like want to start building your own.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So yeah, nothing surprising or cheesy or anything here so far.
Yeah, it looks like a 2-rax opener though out
Yeah.
of GPT, which is kind of interesting. Ketroc deciding to expand first. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a PF expand probably.
Yeah, which probably plays well if this is meant to be like an early marine stem timing or something like that, then yeah, running into a PF on the other side, probably not what you want.
Yeah.
All right.
Although if he does target the main base, I don't think that planetary defends the ramp very well on this map. So you can kind of just
Yeah, it
bypass
is a
the
bit
PF.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, engineering bay on the Ketroc side.
I do like the wall off there, how he uses the
Yeah.
reactor as part of the wall. Interesting setup. It's a good way to build the barracks and still leave room for the add-on, while it's still walling off at the same time.
Yeah, we do have a third barracks instead of a factory or anything, but here a factory on Ketroc's side. And +1 has been started. And we're going to see a tech lab go down here at all for STEM or something. Not yet.
Could just be
There's a tech
using the
lab.
gas to add on more barracks production, right?
Mhm.
Like instead of making like 7 racks and going all in, you could just take 1 gas and start building reactors instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's +1 and a tech lab, so that's definitely the case. And
Yeah.
combat shield start.
You can face this one of these bots in the humans versus ProBots at the end of the season, Monsieur Observer. Yeah, Starport coming down here as well, and a Marauder being added on with combat shield coming too as Ketroc moves to a third base.
Actually, one of the seasons of humans versus bots, we didn't get to see any of the games, but I made my bots do a 7 racks all in as one of the options.
Oh yeah.
And they would chat and all chat and say things like, you know, taking hidden expansion or opening greedy battlecruiser build. Like I would say like all this nonsense to try to throw
Nice.
off the opponent.
Nice, nice. Good play. We did see in our first week that what is it? Oh yeah, Whale Mean, which is now a random bot, just lies about its race. So we'll spawn in and then immediately say I'm Zerg when it's Protoss or whatever.
I think technically it says a random race, so 1 out of 3
Yeah.
times it doesn't lie.
Okay, we brought that up. I'm like, if it lies, then is it like the Enigma machine where it can't say the correct answer, and then you can use that to extrapolate what it really is? Yeah, but okay, if it's
So
saying
yeah,
something
0
totally
information,
random,
unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Oh well, pure entropy from Whale Mean. Yeah, so GPT coming over. Will it? I mean, pretty decent size army here, 37 to 13.
Yeah.
But
It's only against
what
a single
will it
cyclone.
prioritize?
That's
Yeah.
the only defense right now.
Yeah, can I grab this before?
Forcing
Into
lift off,
burner.
probably going to get that kill with so many Marines there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty strong initial push here.
Cyclone is maybe one hit away, and with the same range as a Marauder, that will go down. Banshees
Now-
are popping out, however, although I
Now,
think the
will
first
it-
one's like taken off.
Yeah, here is the engagement, and unfortunately for him,
Yeah.
no avoidance, and there is a lot of repairing behind this. So yeah,
No targeting
PF,
the SCVs either.
yeah, PF invincible at this point.
Do you know the Planetary Fortress actually does less damage than a single Marauder?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. The power of the PF is all about the splash
it's the
damage
splash, yeah,
and the the armor and repairing.
yeah.
So
makes
that's
sense.
why it looks like unbelievable versus Zerglings. I then,
Yeah.
3 altars can walk over without taking any damage. All depends what it's up against.
Makes sense. Grouping up for a second wave of attacks, but the Banshees with Cloak will be there shortly,
Yeah.
and that's going to shut down a lot. They will pass each other there.
There is some scan energy, but I don't know if there's any coding when it comes to dealing with cloaked units.
Yeah, for sure.
So this will probably be the final push out of chat of GPT here. I guess I don't think he's going to have the economy for another one.
Yeah, catches the Cyclones in the middle there. Tank will pull back. Yeah,
Unfortunately, Cyclones are on the low ground there as they approach the ramp. Another ramp victory. So again, some free kills, which is nice. Good start.
single Banshee could eventually clean it all up with the Cloak.
Now your third once again. 0 economy left at home. And I think the Planetary is going to end this one.
Yeah, we had combat shields but no stim, so not even a chance of really like bum rushing this down and just snapping it, but we'll clean everything up.
Yeah, I don't mind that. If you're creating a new bot, I like the idea of combat shields. Because stim requires a lot of
Yeah,
decision
more-
making, where combat
Yeah.
shield is just always good, no matter what.
Yeah, definitely makes sense there. Also just is long to
Yeah,
get it.
just shorter upgrades, true.
Yeah, so you got to pick one. Yeah, so there we go. Pretty. I mean, you could definitely see like it ran into an absolute solid wall there. Like that the planetary itself is the key to stopping that, and it didn't really know what to do there and didn't know to bypass it or anything like that. You could definitely see that sort of thing working against a lot of opponents. But yeah, you just kind of run into that where no army required to defend this. I'm going to let the building do it. with
Yeah, I
the
mean, it was a
use
strong
scan.
push. A lot of bio combat shield +1.
Yeah.
That could run over a lot of bots, including mine, if I'm doing the wrong build.
Yeah, for sure, quite possible. So interloper coming up, and we'll see if GPT has has any more variations to that build or anything. Whether there's different compositions or different, you could easily like just basically said, timing pushes, but doesn't necessarily mean just that one. There could be 2 base tank type things that would be able to deal with PFs a little better. So we'll see as we are going to, as I slow down my sentence line with the timer, as we are going to hop into game number 2 on Interloper.
Ketroc.
Good strategy.
GPT.
So yeah, Ketroc calling it a marine rush. In this case, that could be interesting.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of barracks made this game, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. So
Well.
this will answer the question, is like Marines and upgrades and combat shield good, or is Marines and Marines and Marines good?
Yes. Indeed. I think, yeah, at some point it maybe comes down to who controls such marines better. But combat shields definitely pretty effective. One of the better upgrades for
it's
said
huge.
marines.
Like
yeah,
20% health increase or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping my bot wins, not just because it's me, but I'm also interested to see how GPT versus the big bot will go.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
like one base powerhouses.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely could be interesting. Yeah, like a bunch of stalkers with an immortal against marines with marauders. Works out interestingly. And
Oh.
so yeah, GPT is expanding this time, so it is going to be potentially
The roles have reversed.
yeah, some sort of two-base timing, but will it to be able to get up to what it wants to with many barracks coming?
Specifically try to build all my barracks outside of the range of the ramp so it doesn't get scouted, but it always ends up getting scouted anyways for some reason.
Indeed. The rallying is beginning. Yeah, so again, reactor initially adding on, this time adding on a barracks and a factory.
I think on one base economy, you can actually get up to 8 barracks as long as you're speed mining without it
Okay,
being
yeah, yeah.
inefficient.
Makes sense.
Well, I mean, it will be inefficient, but
Yeah.
like you can spend more than 7 barracks. You can spend like 7.2 barracks or something
Yeah.
worth of. Depends how many depots you gotta make, I guess. So tech lab on the barracks. We do have a second barracks coming down. I like that. And a starport. Hopefully no more production because GPT really needs to start pumping units right now. Siege tank would be nice if you got a high ground siege tank, especially like a micro machine placement right on that high ground.
Yeah.
But it is about time, so here it comes. Does have a wall, does have high ground advantage.
No actual workers on that low ground yet either. There's the first one popping out. But yeah, no factory production yet either.
Yeah, that's a lot of money into infrastructure costs. So with the orbitals and 4 production structures, like right now it'll start kicking in. But
Yeah,
it's
this
already here.
this time getting stim too. Maybe dead before that's done anyway. Yeah, and probably would be okay. Yeah, just voluntarily dying.
Let's keep that two
Yeah,
Marines alive
yeah.
in the back, so
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
you'll probably win this fight, and then that'll be it, unfortunately, because you need to work for other things besides fighting.
There's the remainder of the workers coming in to help. This time with no backup.
There's one feature I turned off, I wish I still had it, is whenever my Marines would kill a command structure, they would dance.
Oh yeah.
But I actually lost the game on ladder because of that.
Yes.
I think I killed a hatchery and then like danced and all the Zerglings just shredded all my Marines. So like, let's not do that.
All right, so quick one there, just kind of running into the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And yeah, ChatGPT's build, it was, yeah, again, a little more infrastructure heavy, didn't actually get the necessary units out to be able to do that. Like, would have been nice to see a tank come to try and hold stuff.
Yeah. Too unfortunate there. It would have been nice if those games were flipped and we got to see
Yeah.
the one bases hit each other and then the macro plays hit each other.
Indeed. So that is it for today's matchups. Maybe we take a look at the bracket again to recap the day. Everything was a 2-0 this time, and had a quick ending one there. So we had from Group C, Changeling 2-0 over Aeolus. Will advance on to play BenBotBC with a 2-0 over PhantomBot. Changeling and BenBot will be interesting. And Aeolus against PhantomBot, I think, will also be pretty good. negativeZero with a 2-0 against theBigBot. And again, just negativeZero returning bot, one of the stronger ones out there. And then Ketroc, as you just saw, a 2-0 over GPT. Just kind of pretty strongly countering what it was doing in both cases, will set up the losers match of GPT versus the BigBot, and that one where both of them are kind of timing based sort of things. I think that's going to be an interesting match, as you mentioned. So I think that will do it for this week. Tune in next week as we do get into the follow-up matches and see what's going on. I guess back to Group A and B for those. So
Yeah, we'll have our first eliminations. Yeah, and our first first spots making it through to the quarterfinals.
Indeed.
So things are starting to pick up.
Yeah, gets tense from here on out. So yeah, thanks everyone for coming. A reminder again to like and subscribe. Definitely helps with the algorithm. Share this with friends. And if you are at all interested in making a bot, trying this sort of thing out, look in the description. There is a link to basically a template to get started with that, as well as links to a nice video guide that's going to help you on your way of getting everything set up, everything you need to get installed and functional to have this up and running.
Sweet.
Any final thoughts?
No, looking forward to a big season though.
Indeed.
See who can take out negativeZero, if anyone. He's going to be the final boss this time around.
Yes. I think so for sure. So good one. Everyone tune in next week. We'll see you then.